Welcome back to Worlds Without Warning. I'm Jon Negroni, and if you're just joining us, this is where we bring you original short fiction read by the people who wrote it. Each week, I share stories from Cetera Literary Magazine. Tales that surprise, challenge, and stick with you long after you think you're done with them. Today's story is called One Good Ghost, and it's a contemporary fiction piece with supernatural elements. I wrote this one pretty recently, and it's about weddings, family dynamics, and the complicated ghosts we carry, both literal and metaphorical. Without giving anything away, I'll just say this. Sometimes the most important conversations happen in bathroom mirrors. And sometimes the dead have better timing than the living. It's a story about letting go, holding on, and knowing the difference between the two. After I read the story, I'm going to stick around to talk about where this one actually came from and what I hope you take away from it. There's definitely a personal element to this piece that I'm pretty excited to share. All right, here is One Good Ghost. One Good Ghost. The groom's ex is back for the wedding. She's dead, and I'm the only one who can see her. Written by Jon Negroni, edited by Natalia Emmons, narrated by Jon Negroni. I'm standing in what the rental listing generously called a powder room, but is really a beach house closet with delusions of sandy grandeur, trying to bobby pin my hair into something that doesn't look like I've been wrestling with the Atlantic wind all morning, which, for the record, I beat. "Mara, are you almost done in there?" My brother's voice carries the particular strain of a groom 3 hours before his wedding, who's just discovered the caterer forgot the vegetarian option. "Claire needs to get ready." Claire, sweet, soft-spoken Claire, who teaches kindergarten, pronounces all her consonants, and has never said anything remotely cutting about anyone, including my mother, who deserves it. I should like her more than I do. 2 minutes, I call back, giving my reflection one last disapproving look. My bridesmaid dress, dusty rose, because apparently that's a color now, makes me look like I'm cosplaying as someone's better adjusted sister. That's when I see her in the mirror. The woman behind me wears a wedding dress that probably cost more than my car, complete with a cathedral train that somehow doesn't take up the entire closet bathroom. Her makeup's flawless except for the mascara tracks down her cheeks, which shouldn't be possible since she's clearly been crying for hours. I turn, nothing there. Back to the mirror, wedding dress, perfect blowout, and someone who I'm starting to suspect is definitely a ghost. I study her face more carefully. She's beautiful in that effortless way that makes you check your own reflection for smudged lipstick. There's just something so familiar about the sharp line of her jaw, the way she holds her shoulders as if she's bracing for impact. Clearly, she's not bracing for me. "You can see me," she says. Her voice has the hollow timbre of someone speaking from the bottom of a well. Yeah, apparently. "I'm Vanessa." Oh, Vanessa. As in Vanessa, the ex-fiancée. As in Vanessa who broke my brother's heart 2 years ago, and also Vanessa who he still gets quiet about whenever she gets brought up, and Vanessa who my mother claimed was never good enough for him, though she's never met a woman good enough for either of her sons. That Vanessa. "Didn't you F off to Paris?" I ask. "I did." She touches the pearls at her throat. "Turns out you can die of irony. Who knew?" "Mara," my brother again, closer now. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, fine," I call back, unconvincingly, still staring at Vanessa in the mirror. "Just seeing a dead person in my reflection. The usual." Vanessa almost smiles. Almost. I should open the door and help my brother marry his perfectly nice fiancée and pretend I don't see his dead ex floating around like some kind of designer disaster. But instead, I hear myself ask, "How long?" "Since Thursday." She adjusts her veil. "Car accident." Very dramatic. And sudden. And stupid. Wow. And you came here? I was already coming. She looks down at her dress. I was going to... God, this is embarrassing. I was going to stop the wedding. Like some kind of romantic comedy heroine, you know? Except, well, I died first. She really messed up the timing. Classic me. Through the thin walls, I hear Claire laugh at something my brother says. It's a nice, genuine laugh shared by two people unbothered by that old wedding tradition to not see the other person before the ceremony. He's happy, I tell Vanessa. I know. She's staring at something I can't see. I can hear it in his voice. He sounds settled, safe. Is that a bad thing? Your tone could be interpreted either way. No, it's not bad. It's just different. We're never safe. I remember the fights I used to hear about. The way my brother looked like he was walking on broken glass whenever Vanessa entered a room. When she looked at him like he was a puzzle missing a few crucial pieces. They were so beautiful together. Terrible for each other, yes, but beautiful all the same. And everyone saw it, except them. Can anyone else see you, or is it just me? Just you, so far. Why? Vanessa pauses to think. Maybe because you're the only one who didn't pick a side. I raise an eyebrow. I'll always take my brother's side. Vanessa shrugs. Not how I remember it. I think back to when they broke up. My mother launched into I told you so mode. My dad disappeared into his garage. My other brother immediately took Claire's side before Claire was even in the picture. Back then, she was just the girl who will be better for you anyway. But me? I watched my brother cry into his beer and thought, with characteristic sisterly warmth, that he was an idiot. But also that love makes idiots of us all. And he wasn't exactly innocent in what happened. I should go, I say. They need the bathroom. Wait. Vanessa's reflection wavers slightly. Will you tell him something for me? No. You don't even know what I'm not delivering messages from beyond the grave or whatever. This isn't Ghost. You're not Demi Moore. I'm not Whoopi Goldberg. And my brother is definitely not Patrick Swayze, even if he might think he is after 2 glasses of wine. Just please tell him I'm glad that he's marrying someone who makes him laugh like that. I look at her for tens of seconds. Tell him yourself. Mara, he can't see or hear me. Well, maybe he will, if you want him to, like badly enough. But even as I say this, I know she won't. Vanessa was always too proud to be vulnerable and too scared to need things from people she couldn't control. Something told me not even death changed that. I open the door and nearly run into Claire, arms full of bobby pins and nerves. Oh, good. You're done, Claire says. I was starting to think you'd fallen in. She peers past me into the bathroom. Who are you talking to? Myself. Old habit. Claire nods like that makes perfect sense, which it does if you are someone who assumes the best about everyone. Could you help me with my veil? Stupid thing won't stay put. I follow her to the master bedroom, where her wedding dress hangs on the closet door like a painting. She's going for simple elegance, the opposite of Vanessa's cathedral drama. Nervous? I ask, taking the pins. Terrified, she says. Not about marrying him, just, everything else. The ceremony, all the people, whether my mascara will hold up. She hesitates. Whether I'm enough? I stop mid-pin. Enough for what? For him. He's had this whole life before me, this complicated history. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm just the consolation prize or something. I think of Vanessa downstairs, still in her dress and crying in the bathroom. Then I think of my brother's laugh, which for sure has been so much lighter than it's been in years. Claire, I turn her to face me. You are not the consolation prize. You're the prize. The real one. She looks skeptical. I'm serious, all right? My brother's lucky you haven't wised up yet. That's the truth. Claire's eyes fill. I hand her a tissue before her mascara can betray her. "Thank you," she says. "I didn't think. I wasn't sure you liked me very much." "Really? I like everyone. Well, most people." "Fine, I like you at least." She laughs, and I realize it's the same laugh I heard through the wall. It's so easy for her, so effortless and uncomplicated. "There," I say, stepping back. "Absolutely perfect." And she is. Downstairs, the string quartet starts. It's time. Claire takes my arm, and as we move toward the stairs, I catch Vanessa's reflection in the hallway mirror. She's watching. And for a moment, she somewhat looks at peace. "Ready?" I ask. "Ready," she says. I try to believe both of us. The music swells, and somewhere in the back of my mind I hear the sound of a held breath released, and a door closing softly and the ocean pulling back before the next wave begins. One good ghost, I think. That's all we probably get. One good ghost to teach us the difference between haunting and holding on, between letting go and letting things just happen. Outside, the Atlantic keeps its natural rhythm, so much of it indifferent, yet blissfully eternal, carrying away what's finished and bringing in what's just beginning. That was One Good Ghost. Thank you so much for listening or reading along if you checked out the written version of this, which is on cetera.substack.com if you'd like to check it out. And here are my author's notes. So I wrote One Good Ghost after, technically I came across a call for some upmarket fiction, more in the novel format, and I got stopped a little bit. I asked myself, what even is upmarket anymore? I hadn't really considered it in a while. I dug a little deeper though, and I decided this is my interpretation of upmarket. To me, it's writing that has emotional resonance and strong hooks and conceptual clarity. Basically, stories with a heart and a pitch. Kind of thing that makes people say, "Wait, did you say the ex-fiancée is dead?" But then that keeps them reading for what goes beyond the hook, the twist. The seed of this premise came from a line that just kind of popped in my head, and I adored it instantly. "Not even death could stop me from attending my ex-fiancée's wedding to another woman." That actually made me laugh out loud. Not loudly, but, a little bit of a chuckle. And lately, I've been thinking a lot about how heartbreak sometimes disguises itself in spite. It can be so hard to let go of something when you were so sure it was supposed to be yours, even if you were wrong. And I think that can also apply to friendships, not just romantic love, which is technically more so what I'm drawing from here. I've had a lot of friendship breakups, and they sting. They really do. Tonally, I wanted the piece to sound conversational and voicey, maybe even a splash of funny, but with all this emotional layering under every beat. At least that's what I was going for. Basically, what you would expect from a beach house comedy, but in this case, crashed by a ghost who can't admit that they are not the main character. That was actually one thing that I thought would be the way to make this story work. Because initially I thought, it's from the perspective of the ghost. But there was just something about the perspective being from the sister-in-law where I was like, ooh, that feels different. I don't think I've read that story before. And so here we are. The voice of the piece in that sense came first. So we have Mara, the narrator. She's this reluctant bridesmaid. I named her Mara because I was thinking of like the bitter waters of Mara from the Bible. And in this case, she's a little bit bitter. And she has this kind of shield of sarcasm that you might recognize from, different kind of like romance books and stuff. But I think that she has a lot more empathy than she's comfortable admitting. That's kind of why I decided that toward the end of the story, when, I think that the classic thing she would say if somebody was like, "Oh, I didn't think you liked me," she'd be like, "Yeah, I don't like anybody, but she's like, "Oh, I like everyone." That felt a little bit more true to me, but hopefully people read between the lines. It was like, maybe there's a little bit of delusion there that she doesn't come across like she likes everyone. So that felt right to me for sure. And she's also a person who, she doesn't believe in ghosts, but she does believe in telling it like it is. Her dynamic with Vanessa, the ghost, was what made the story really come alive for me. this sense that they're way more alike than the other person wants to admit. The living and the dead trying to decide what counts as closure, that's really where the story came together for me. And if not for how well I found this dynamic to work, I'm actually not sure I would have published this, especially at the final hour when I technically had another story sort of in the wings. And maybe it was because we had just put out To Feel Like a Person again earlier this week as an archive, one of the older stories. This one's very much of a piece. It's a little bit of a spiritual successor. So I like to think that you can pair them together because they have very similar, well, obviously themes, but also the whole ghost thing as well. Anyway, this story, I should say, it is structured very intentionally as a single sitting story. No scene breaks this time, no flashbacks, just one long breath exhaled over the course of one extremely surreal moment before a wedding ceremony. I was definitely drawn to that claustrophobic feeling of like the pre-wedding rituals where everyone's supposed to be calm and beautiful and composed, but deep down, everyone's a little bit emotionally unhinged and everything's kind of blurring in real time. So I was able to draw from my own wedding in that respect, and it just really felt, it did feel claustrophobic. I wasn't in a bathroom closet in a beach house, but we were in a winery, and I just remember being like, I want to drink all this wine, and eventually we did. Anyway, I do think though, I hope though, that people notice the groom's name is never mentioned. He's always just the brother. That was definitely on purpose, and that's up to you to interpret why that is the case. But anyway, what I hope to leave the reader with overall is this. I think that quietly moving on from something is a sign of strength, and absolutely nobody says the perfect thing every time. You can disagree with me, of course, if you want, or you can take it away differently if you want. But I think specifically, Mara never tells her brother about Vanessa the way that I interpret it. I don't think there's ever going to be that, like when she says, I'm not going to, talk for you beyond the grave, I think she means it. You could even read into it, I guess, if you want, that she's hallucinating or something. Who knows? I don't even think that she really considers it. I think she lets go and she stands firm, because ultimately the difference between haunting somebody and holding on to what you thought love was supposed to look like, it's a thicker line than the one between life and death, if you ask me. And also, the most meaningful conversations you'll have aren't always with the people you love or used to love. Sometimes it's the would-be sister-in-law you're pretty sure never liked you. You can find One Good Ghost along with the original artwork over at cetera.substack.com. While you're there, you can subscribe for free to get new stories delivered to your inbox every Thursday morning, plus occasional bonus content. Everything we publish is edited by our brilliant editor, Natalia Emmons, who makes every story better than it was at least when I first wrote it. We're going to have another brand new story next Thursday, something completely different, I think, and I hope you love it. But thank you so much for listening to Worlds Without Warning. Until next time, remember that the best surprises often come from the most unexpected places, even bathroom mirrors at weddings. Keep your eyes open for the worlds that change without warning, because you never know what might be waiting there to surprise you.